So Reg M applies. Anybody know when does Reg M apply? I'm not going to discuss all about Reg M because it's not that heavily tested. And I just want to hit kind of the salient points. Anybody know when does Reg M apply? What does Reg M deal with? It deals with manipulation, sure, exactly. And specifically, it's when a firm is making a market, i.e. trading a newly issued security, right? It basically deals with if your firm is underwriting a new issue and also trades that stock in the open market, it deals with preventing the ability to manipulate that price. All right, so a couple things you want to know. First thing is, if a firm is underwriting a convertible bond, Reg M applies to what? Reg M applies to what? Anybody know? It applies to the common stock, both the convertible bond and the underlying stock. It applies to both the convertible bond and the underlying stock. Yep, good. All right, so anybody know what is the potential length of the restricted period? What do we have to know there? What do you think? For how long does the rule apply? And I don't care about the numerical, what makes it the length, but what are the potential answers there? Yeah, it could be 5 days for the small issuers, 1 day for medium size, or 0 days for what are called actively traded securities. Those are the big boys, actively traded securities. Yep, those are just the big boys. Okay. All right. And what can't you do? What are you restricted from doing? What are you restricted from doing? What are you restricted from doing during the restricted period? Yeah, you can't solicit trading yet. In general, you're restricted from driving up the price of the stock by buying shares at a higher price or soliciting others to purchase. Good. What can you do? Can you still trade the security during this period of time? The answer is yes, but only as a passive market maker. Passive market maker. That means you have to let the market come to you. Only as a passive market maker, which means you have to let the market come to you. Somebody asked, what is the value? What defines a medium-sized issuer and an actively traded security? That's in your notes. I'm not going to go through that again because it's not that important. And also you have it written down in your notes already. So I'm not going to bother with that here, but it's not that critical for the test. All right, let's talk about another part of Reg M. Another part of Reg M deals with stabilization. So right, and really not necessarily true stabilization so much as a green shoe and syndicate covering. So the offer price of a new issue is $25. And there were 25 million shares sold. 2 weeks later, 25, sorry, let me rephrase this. So you have 20 million shares registered, but 23 million shares sold. So the deal is oversold by 15%, right? You kind of see where I'm going with this. 2 weeks later, the stock is trading at 35. How does the underwriter deliver the 3 million oversold shares? The answer here is the green shoe clause, which can be exercised for up to 15% within 30 days of the effective date. So if the stock goes up, you're going to exercise the green shoe. If the stock goes up, you're going to exercise the green shoe. What if the stock falls? What do you think? What are you going to do then? What if the stock falls? Yeah, the underwriter will buy the shares in the open market to make delivery. This is called a syndicate covering transaction. Syndicate covering transaction. Good. Somebody said, can you sell stock short before pricing? You can. By the way, that would never happen for an IPO because there's nothing to sell short. But if it's a follow-on equity offering, you can sell stock short before pricing. But does anybody know the rule there? Can you sell stock short prior to a follow-on offering being priced? Anybody know? The answer is yes, but if the short is done within 5 days before pricing, you cannot invest in the new issue. So you can sell the stock short whenever you want before pricing. But if you do sell it short within the 5 days before pricing, you cannot invest in the new issue. So somebody wrote only 5 days before. It's not only 5 days before. You can do it whenever you want. But if you do sell it short within the 5 days before pricing, you cannot invest in the new issue. You cannot invest in the new issue. All right, Caitlin, any questions of note that should be addressed?
Yeah, there is one question in the Q&A. What are the notification requirements for stabilization?
Got it. What are the notification requirements for a stabilization bid? Thank you. Good question. Notification requirements for a stabilization bid. Anybody know the answer to that? Yeah, you have to notify the SEC and FINRA each day that a stabilization bid is in effect. Yep, exactly right. Very good. You have to notify the SEC and FINRA each day. And that's why firms don't do pure stabilization, because it becomes public knowledge. And you're basically telling the world the deal's not going well. That's why you use a green shoe. That's why you do this, because you can support the price without telling anybody. Somebody said you can't invest. Yeah, so if you sell the stock short in the 5 days before pricing, you can buy the stock in the secondary market. You just can't invest directly from the underwriter. Exactly right. You got it.